Because we've colonised quite a lot of the world, then they are speaking English. There are lots of good reasons why people might want to come to the UK, and it is entirely within their rights to seek asylum. They can be sent back if their application doesn't.
As far as I understand it, it's a criminal act to enter into.
An MP mocking Nigel Farage over the migrant crisis tries to pin the blame on him, and, according to the clip, it backfires on live TV. She insists asylum seekers have an absolute right to come, whilst viewers hear Britain pays £6 million a day for hotel rooms. And this is where it turns. It's the bit nobody saw coming once you clock the Epping High Street question. Locals ask why their own kids can't get a home. A panellist challenges France as the stop, and another warns Number 10 about sovereignty and democracy before reform cashes in. How much longer can this pressure hold?
Farages of this world to whip up quite so much grievance against asylum seekers who have a perfect right to come and try and seek asylum here. They have a right to choose where they seek asylum. Just made it possible for people to make their applications for asylum without having to be here in the UK. Then people wouldn't have to put their lives at risk. They wouldn't have to be driving then this criminal boat.
But I think that the issue that people are raising is, first of all, you say they've got an absolute right. Question, should that continue to be the case? And secondly, I guess if you ask anybody in Epping High Street, they would say, we're sympathetic to people, but we have a lot of homeless ourselves. And why are we spending £6 million a day putting asylum seekers in hotels when my nephew, my son, my daughter cannot get a home?
That's exactly my point. So if we addressed some of those very legitimate concerns that you can
address it by putting his or her son and nephew in the hotel.
No, I'm going to address it.
Why have they got to be out on the street and the asylum seekers get the room?
I'm not very much of a fan of them being in hotels, and I think they should be allowed to work while they're waiting for their asylum process to feed through. So they could be making a contribution to the economy. They would love to do that. It would be good for our economy if they did do that. But my point is that the ability to whip this up into being such a kind of toxic issue would be far less if the very people that you were talking about did have somewhere for their kids to live. And that should be about making sure that in the sixth richest economy in the world, we levy a range of wealth taxes so we can actually deal with those problems instead of pitting vulnerable people against each other.
All right, before I mark Reynolds' report card, what do you make of what Carol has been saying?
I just don't see why it's a human right to leave France. And what's the problem with France? Why are we obliged to do this? This is completely...
Because people have a right to choose where they seek asylum. If their family is here, and we've made it incredibly difficult for family reunion to happen. Because we've colonised quite a lot of the world, then they are speaking English. There are lots of good reasons why people might want to come to the UK, and it is entirely within their rights.
That's the backfire in real time. A presenter brings up Epping High Street, people who are sympathetic, but also skinned, and asks why we're spending the £6 million a day putting asylum seekers in hotels while locals can't get a home. That's not cruelty. That's a fairness test. Then you hear the dodge. Instead of answering the fairness point head-on, it turns into abstract talk about rights and how it's toxic to raise concerns. That is exactly how trust gets broken. People aren't stupid. They can see the difference between genuine refuge and a system that rewards illegal entry with accommodation while citizens get told to join the queue and cope. Also, notice the policy instinct in there: make asylum applications possible without having to be here in the UK. That might sound tidy on paper, but the public hears one thing: more pull factors, more arrivals, more pressure, and still no serious enforcement on the back end. When you remove consequences, you don't get compassion. You get a magnet. One more thing, you can care about individuals and still insist on borders. Every country does that. Every country has to. Pretending it's immoral to control who enters your own home is pure political theatre. Right, for the second moment, I want you to pay attention to the language about sovereignty and smearing voters. Because this is where the argument flips from moral posturing into something very basic. Can a democratic country decide its own immigration policy without being insulted for it? Have a listen to how blunt it gets.
to seek asylum. They can be sent back if their application
As far as I understand it,
doesn't
it's a criminal act to enter into the country illegally. I mean, I don't get this.
We haven't made it possible for people to enter legally. So what other options do they have?
There is an established process of immigration, but this idea that it is a right...
Before you... safe country. Italy is a safe country. Greece is a safe country. The very few people land here as their first safe country.
OK.
Well, because of the geography, you great lummock. Can they?
Morris,
I've been called worse.
Morris, you've advanced some propositions, including, as you say, the Navy and the Channel and so on. Do you think anybody at Number 10 is listening?
I think they've got to. I mean, this is a proper, profound debate with Caroline, I think, about rights. You know, and I think that a fundamental aspect of sovereignty is a democratic decision to control borders. I think that's entirely legitimate. I love liberty, Caroline. I'm not so keen on rights. I think this is not part of the common law tradition. So I think it's completely legitimate for people to vote to control immigration. That's not a violation. I also agree with what you say, that this is a strange situation where France is considered a hostile place. And I really don't understand why France is controlling. Labour's got to listen. It has to listen to the concerns of working class people and ordinary people. And in fact, it's spreading much wider in the society. This is a great country. We've had unprecedentedly high levels of immigration now for 40 years, and the toleration and the mutual understanding has been strong. We've got to be very aware that there's a tipping point here, and people have got to be heard without smearing them as far right. And if we're going to successfully resist a bunch of chances cleaning up in reform, we've got to get straight with the people.
If there was some kind of body near our border, perhaps called the European Union, where we could actually work this out together. No, I am serious. No single country can sort this out on their own. We used to have ways of having returns, and we threw all of that away with Brexit.
And of course,
you're taking us you guys are taking us into territory which is fascinating.
There it is. Someone says it plainly. A fundamental aspect of sovereignty is a democratic decision to control borders. That's not extremism. That's normal governance. If elections mean anything, voters get a say on immigration levels, enforcement, and the rules of entry. Then comes the line that should make every politician sit up. There's a tipping point, and people need to be heard without smearing them as far right. That's the problem in one sentence. When the establishment can't defend outcomes, it attacks the public's motives. It's a cheap trick, and it's exactly how you push more people towards protest votes. And the Brexit bit matters too. You hear an argument that no single country can sort this out, and we threw all of that away with Brexit. Fine, debate cooperation, debate returns, debate treaties. But don't sell the public an absolute right to choose the UK, then act shocked when people ask why France is being treated like a hostile zone and Britain is expected to absorb the fallout. Bottom line, if you want compassion to survive, you need control that actually works. That means clear rules, faster decisions, removals that happen when claims fail, and policy that doesn't punish citizens for playing by the book. Britain is a decent country. It's also entitled to be a country. If politicians keep taking the mick, mocking concerns while sending the invoice to taxpayers, the public will answer in the only place it can, the ballot box.